the association side of things, or to Brother Robert for the House of Grace?
Wes Fisher, I'm your closest resident to this facility. So, with that in mind, I'd like to thank you for your passionate, religious-based speech. We're here to listen. We're here to observe. There's a few things I'd like to ask you that are pertinent, not necessarily to what's going on, but probably some things you both need to know. Since you deemed this a notice of intent at the very beginning of this, I must ask you now, is there a representative from the planning department here? Was there a land use change notice filed from these people for this
No,
thing?
sir.
Okay.
There has been nothing.
Automatically, you have violated the first procedure by failure to give proper notification to. Secondly, this building is considered a 501c3 institution, right? It is not a domicile or a dormitory. Therefore, you will have to pull permits for construction changes and again, land use changes and variances to your current charter. So at this time, I would like to ask both of you, would you like to recant your current lease and reconvene this at a future hearing?
We're already a 501c3.
That's relevant right now if you are or you're not. I'm asking you right now, would you like to recant your lease and go through the proper procedures to make this legal?
In talking with, excuse me, the Florida Baptist Convention's attorney, Gary Odell, and discussing again, this is one of those things we had to walk all the way through. When we talked about the use of space from one 501c3 to another, we were in the appropriate action of being able to allow them to use the space. When you've got two nonprofit faith-based organizations, you've got a use of space agreement as opposed to a traditional lease, what they may call, those kind of things. And so through our investigation, through his advice, we were able to proceed without changing what you had just mentioned.
Did you reaffirm or reapply for your 501c3 proposed change?
We reaffirm each year or
Did
reapply for
you
the,
reapply for a change for this facility?
no notice was needed to change here based off of what the property appraiser and clerk of courts have mentioned to us here in Washington County.
Are you well versed in the 6 disqualifications of the current 501c3?
Not off the top of my head, Mr. Fisher.
Well, I happen to be, and you just violated one. So, at this time, I would like to ask you, would you like to recant this lease?
I'll be honest with you, that's a question that the association is going to have to decide.
Okay, I suggest.
We have a number of those pastors here with us, but
At this point,
Can't hear you back here. Either one of you can't hear.
Turn the mic up.
at this point, you're at a crossroads at this point for proper procedures. If you do not wish to go through a future hearing to re-procedure this thing the correct way, the next course of action is going to change. And that depends on what you say right now. I'm giving you multiple opportunities to rethink this before they get you.
yes, sir.
Okay, so if you're considering this the first, last, only, and final notification of this land use change, we're going to go a different route right here. So if you say that's the way we're going, here's where we're headed. First thing I'd like to point out is House of Grace Ministries. How many locations have you had since you became this entity?
2.
2 locations? How many times?
Bonifay.
Bonifay, you've been in Bonifay? Let's see, you've been in Bonifay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different locations, notified in a WJG article that House of Grace Ministry had opened its doors to those in need at another location in Bonifay and in Worthington Springs, also in Callaway, Florida. So since 2002, you have moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times.
We started out in Dade County. The house that was given to us was under a loan, a $30,000 loan that went with it. So we declined to give the house back. But
How was it?
when we originally started, we started out, and it was called the House of Grace of Dade County Incorporated.
Okay, why is it no longer called that on anything you had in Bonifay?
We changed it to the House of Grace Ministry.
Okay. Did you
Because we
get
was in a
proper
different county.
notification for that
Yes, sir. We
501c3?
had filed with the state.
Okay, there's no records to show that at this time. I would like to hit one real quick here on why you had to change addresses so many times in Bonifay.
In Boniface, because when I was a manager of a mobile home park there, it's on Highway 90, we remodeled one of the houses. Well, the guy that I put in charge in it, well, he didn't work out, caused a lot of confusion. So I moved him in the house with me on Wick Street. That's where, and they were there with me for about 6 years, 6.5 years.
And is it true that you had a conviction at one of your homes in Bonifay?
Yes, sir. And he wrote me a bad check, and I'm the one that took the check to the police department, had him arrested, press charges on him, and he got another 5 years. I don't play the radio with none of these
Okay.
guys.
Are you willing to tell us now that in this current administration that you run, you are the judge, jury, and executioner of everybody you obtain?
We have rules and regulations they have to go by. They sign a contract, you can't go by it. You're out.
Are they in any phase of the correctional institution at the time you take them, i.e. work release, probation, house arrest, or any level of parole?
No, what we do is when I go, I'm a volunteer chaplain. When somebody applies for our house, I go in, I interview them. First, the chaplain there interviews them. I check with classification. I check with the superintendent. I check with all the people, whatever their disciplinary reports have been, what is their attendance at the chapel has been. I go through all of this. Then we sit down and go through an extensive interview with them. If they're willing and they want to change their life, then they sign that contract. Then we come out, I take it to the board of directors, which Forrest Smith is now on our board of directors. It's called accountability. So now we agree or we don't agree. And if we agree, we send them a letter. If we don't agree, we send them a letter saying you're not qualified.
Can you guarantee at any future point this time that you will have any tenants at this location that are under any phase of correctional reform?
What do you mean?
Can you tell me that there will never be a parolee, a probatee, or anything that is in any phase of the correctional institution reform level at this location ever, while you are under
Some
this?
of them are going to be on probation and parole and stuff like that.
Okay, then there's another problem because they are under state ward at that time. If you're under probation, if you're under house arrest, you are a ward of the state. This is a religious institution by law. You cannot have state intervention through Department of Corrections intervene on this location without once again changing your land use notice. Once again, would you like to stop and start over?
Well, again, Mr. Fisher, in answering that question, land use notice, again, that is something that you had mentioned on the phone with us, that you had some things that maybe we wanted to talk about before having a meeting and whatnot. And again, these are some things that we need to take back to our executive committee, just to make sure that we are clear on the intent and things that you have brought up. To address one thing you spoke about, as far as those being here, whether they're on probation or not. Linda Reisman, for the Department of Corrections in Tallahassee, spoke with her last week, and she mentioned that they contract with faith-based organizations like House of Grace, but there is no restrictions from their side for the folks coming in, for them to oversee the work that is going on there, or for them to, they have any provisions or restrictions or anything like that, putting up fences, or any of those kind of things, or involvement from the Department of Corrections side to the actual ministry or the work that is going on with the folks that have just been let out. That was according to Linda Rice. We can have that, in writing or so forth from her, but that was what she had mentioned. I appreciate you bringing that up so we could investigate it on our side as well.
I suggest you do. When it comes to a 501c, charitable donations and for-profit entities can be disqualified under various violations. Now, I caution you how you answer this. How is this place going to be funded? Donations. Public donations. Do you expect this community to publicly donate to you?
Whether they do not, or God will provide.
Okay.
He's always provided. And here's another thing, as far as working with the Department of Corrections, with the probation department, a 10-year period of time that I had the house there in Bonifay. Probation officers come to our house. Some of them come in here at 11 o'clock at night. Vernon Lewis, Gina Allen, Kanice, Greg Kanice, check with them.
Okay, so you admitted your former locations, you had probation officers intervene on the facility.
They would come and check on their client.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Lastly, according to some of the previous things that I've found out about you, your 501c could be under dispute, levying any kind of complaint filed against it, and I can assume there might be. But I'm going to leave that up to them, and I'm going to close this with serving both of you a copy of the notice of petition signed by all these people in this building that disagree with what you're doing today. And mind you, a copy will be turned into the Board of County Commission and to the state for this because you currently are in violation.
Excuse me, Mr. West, not everybody has signed it.
Okay, well, it is still an open petition. It is still an open petition, and the original copy will be submitted to the county. I gave him a current copy. We're well over 100 valid petitionings on it in county.
Wes, you may want to leave a copy back there. You may want to leave a copy back in the back for anybody that may want to sign it.
If you would like to sign it and have not yet, there is a copy to sign at the general store. Thank you, guys, and it's.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Yes, ma'am.